Hello there everybody, Surpassing aka Nightmare, and welcome back to the House I Fata Morgana, a Requiem for Innocence. Alright, as you can see by the title of this one, it's time we begin the revolution. Which means this is going to be a big one. Alright, let's go. What had once been nothing more than a pipe dream was, against all odds, soon to be a reality. Everyone wanted the Lord removed from power. They were angry and frustrated, and on several occasions had even seriously considered resorting to another revolt to make it happen. But no one had been able to turn those emotions into actions. Because they all knew a revolt was destined to be quashed before it made any difference. That there was no hope to be found down that path. But an actual revolution, that was another story. Especially with someone poised to take the Lord's place on their side. They had a fighting chance, and they had no reason not to take it. As the fire in their eyes swelled to a blaze, mine seemed to sputter out, leaving behind a withered husk. I felt as though I was sitting in a theater, watching on as the story unfolded before me. No, that didn't quite capture how I felt. I wasn't even watching it with my own eyes, merely listening quietly as someone recounted for me their heroic deeds. The fact that I was an indispensable part of this operation still hadn't fully sunk in. All I knew was that I wasn't completely powerless anymore. But, while fiery passion and hope for the future filled Gratian and the rest of the gang, a dark, poisonous revulsion for God and fate streamed in to fill the hole left in me by the attack on the brothel. Dude, I really don't blame you for feeling that way, man. Preparations proceeded smoothly, with Ginevra providing inside information and guidance. As I had expected, there were a not insignificant number of nobles dissatisfied with the way Barnier ruled. And they were constantly looking for a way to eradicate the cloud of pestilence hanging over the land. However, the Lord had eyes everywhere in the upper circles, and he was especially mindful of who associated with whom, and how often. Any signs of opposition were swiftly dealt with before they had a chance to pose any threat. So, the nobility needed an outsider, someone the Lord wasn't on the lookout for, to step in and assert power. Ginevra arranged for several guards in attendance within the Lord's manor to betray him on the day of the revolution. They would open the doors for us from the inside, and we would storm the manor. Structurally, the plan was similar to the slave revolt, the two major differences being my role, and the Lord's death being our primary goal. Well, he doesn't deserve to live, I'll tell you that. As the day drew nearer, it was all anyone in the slums seemed to be talking about. Though we did our best to encourage everyone to stay quiet, so as to not to alert the Lord, it was impossible to keep the excitement contained. And it wasn't long before word reached Maria's ears. She approached me, pale as a ghost, and attempted to talk me out of it.
Haven't you had enough danger for one laugh? Come on, forget about all this revolution stuff. We can build up a new brothel and just stay low for the rest of our days. Does that really sound so bad? You're the only friend I've got left, Jacopo.
Oh god. She was practically begging, which she almost never did. While I sympathized with her, Maria's desperation did nothing to try my resolve. I mean, you have good motivations, Jacopo, you really do. And before long, the day was finally upon us. Hear me, my fellow citizens, who live in suffering at the hands of your supposed lord. Within me flows the blood of the previous lord. I am the rightful heir. Behold, the Barnier's golden ring. Proof that I am of noble birth. Victims of this terrible tyrant. The time has come to start anew. and I shall be the one to lead you down that path. The poor, the hungry, the deprived. All of you, stand with me! Let's do this. Before we commenced our strike on the Lord's manor, I gave a little speech in the city square. Not because we actually needed them to take up arms and fight with us, but because we needed to make a public proclamation of our position before overthrowing the Lord. They needed to know we were not merely opponents of the Lord, but proponents of the common man. That we had a legitimate cause and a legitimate claim to power. If we were to leave them in the dark, it would only sow confusion and unrest when word of the Lord's death came out. They had to see us as their liberators, not a greater evil swooping in to squash a lesser one. The Lord had been squeezing everything he could out of them for years, sucking them dry, so I didn't expect anyone to actually have the willpower to join us. The important thing was that they knew who I was. But I had underestimated them. A slow trickle of people stood to join us, and by the time we were at the city's edge, we had accumulated dozens of additional men, transforming our little uprising into something of a much greater scale. The people had been waiting, day in and day out, for someone to take up their banner and lead the way. It didn't matter that the one holding the banner did so under false pretenses.
Intruders! We're under attack!
Yeah! Get 'em! With the added support, our forces rendered the manor's defenses practically useless. Townsfolk flooded the property, overwhelming even fully armored soldiers. Farmers turned their tools of their trade into deadly weapons, plunging all manner of spiked implements into guards' necks. Ugh. Even if I am on that oh my goodness, my neck. The neck wounds, ugh. Sorry. Ugh. It didn't take long for the pungent stench of blood to fill the air. Panicked servants scrambled away from the chaos as quickly as they could manage. And I made my way through the corridors to the Great Hall, where the Lord presumably waited, Gratian at my side.
Let's get him, bro. We're here to relieve you of your head, Lord. Have these savages removed from my property immediately.
Yes, my lord. I guess I shouldn't be surprised defenses are heaviest here. Watch yourself, Gratian!
You can shove that concern right back where it came from, kid. I ain't about to let a bunch of mooks do me in. No number of these pansy little fuckers is enough to take me down.
Is there any situation capable of tempering that big mouth of yours? You can handle all the guards, then. I'll take care of the Lord.
You want to take the prize all for yourself, eh, kid? Normally I tell you to piss off. But I'll give you this one. It's what the people want besides.
Thank you for understanding.
But remember, if you screw this pooch, I'll make sure you're the laughingstock of the whole city.
Don't worry. I will come back with his head. The fact that Barnier was still here suggested he knew he had nowhere safer to flee to. Unlike the slave revolt 3 years prior, we were entirely on the offensive this time. He didn't particularly appear perturbed about his predicament, though. He likely had little doubt he would make it through the day safely. I knew Barnier was skilled with a sword, and despite all Gratian's talk, the guards he kept by his side were hardly going to be third-rate. They would be the best of the best. Praying Gratian would be able to hold them off long enough, I weaved my way through the wall of armed men, marching straight for Lord Barnier. He slowly drew his sword, readying himself for combat.
Well, imagine that. It's you again. I had assumed you had died off in a hole somewhere.
Hate to disappoint you, but staying alive is one of my few talents.
How fitting for a filthy maggot.
Well, I hope you're ready to be devoured by that very maggot!
Oh my god, that looks so cool! Okay, that is by far one of the coolest art pieces I think I've seen in this, holy shit! It would seem your tongue has gotten rather sharp since we last met. Though, I needn't remind you how this played out 3 years ago, do I? Your blade will never get anywhere near my head. I will, however, give you a good reminder of precisely how feeble and worthless you slum rats are. Within me flows the blood of the royal family, direct descendants of God himself, while your blood is made from the refuse of the earth. We are no more the same species as a worm is a wolf. Your very being in my presence is a slight of the highest order.
I think you'll find our blood is much more similar than you think. When I take that ugly head off your shoulders, we can both get a good look at how equally filthy your blood is to mine. I am not the boy I was 3 years ago. I'll drag you down from your throne and on high, and show you for the dregs of the earth you really are. You would dare insult me, cur! We traded strikes, going on offense and defense in roughly equal parts. Barnier was quick on his feet and quicker with his blade. When I attacked, he swayed effortlessly out of its path, like a stalk of wheat in the wind. And when he attacked, he was like a typhoon. He had a prowess that could never be overcome with brute strength. However, I had not spent the last 3 years idle. While I could hardly imitate the refined swordsmanship of a trained nobleman, I had a much better grasp on how and when to most effectively put my weight into a swing, how to maintain the ideal amount of distance between us. And there was one other key difference. I had no intention of running. Either I would take off his head, or I would end up like a bloody heap on the floor. There was no other way this battle could end.
Think about what you're doing, slum rat. About who you're pointing that blade at. An attack on me is an attack on God. It is an act of unspeakable sacrilege.
Little late to take the moral high ground. You that afraid of dying? Then put your tail between your legs and start running.
You insolent! I am the rightful heir of the Barnier family. The blood of the kings of old flows in my veins. And I am the ultimate ruler of this land and my people. I would never condescend to turn my back to a worthless rat!
Well, don't say I didn't give you the choice. That just means we'll keep on doing this. Until one of us is dead!
Oh my god, this is so much hype!
I'm getting chills. Okay, I need to calm down a little bit. Whew, okay.
Every swing, every step, every slight shift of balance had a little more weight than last. But unlike last time, where the pressure had only served to light a fire under me, it was now building up inside me, growing, taking form. I could now perfectly trace the path of his blade dancing through the air. Back then, the only advantage I had over Barnier was physical strength and pluck, but things were very different now. He was agile, but I could keep up with him. No, I was beginning to overtake him. Allow me to borrow your words, if you would. Perhaps you should save the snide yapping for when you have the skill to back it up.
Don't get cocky, you insignificant rat! You treacherous cur!
Jesus. The Lord swung down at me with all his strength, but I managed to parry the strike with little trouble. In that moment, I had undeniable power. Power. That's right. I wasn't powerless. And I could never let myself be powerless again. Ever. And if I couldn't manage that, then I deserved to rot here as the weak, worthless man I was. I had the chance, here and now, to take out not only the Lord, but the me of old as well. The helpless, impotent boy who couldn't even protect the ones he loved. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll show you that I'm not who I used to be. That I'm not that sniveling little boy from 3 years ago. Before long, Barnier was coming up against the far wall.
You impudent worm!
We were both breathing hard, dripping with sweat. The air seemed to waver like there was a fire burning between us. A fire fueled by our own souls. And that heat extended to the entire hall, in staunch defiance of the cold winter sitting beyond the walls. Perhaps the room had transformed into one of the halls of hell itself.
Where's your...
Oh, sorry. Where's your god now, huh? It's time to end this. Your time on this earth has come to an end, Barnier! I readjusted my grip on my sword, repositioned my feet on the hard floor, lining everything up for my final strike, and then threw a little extra fuel on the fire, before breaking into a dash. However... Wait! What? What? What the... The last person I expected to see stood there between me and the Lord, bringing me to an emergency just moments before I would have taken off his head. Jiren! But because I had been running at full speed, I staggered, almost tripping before catching my balance. She reached out, placing her hands on my shoulder, pleading at me with the eyes the color of early spring leaves. I could see myself aghast, reflected in those eyes. I shouldn't have stopped. I shouldn't have hesitated for any reason. I should have knocked Jiren to the side and taken off Barnier's head. But a torrent of questions rained down on me, entangling me from head to toe like a spider's web. Why? How? What was Jiren doing here? Why did she ask me to stop? Why was she standing between me and Barnier? No. The answer hit me like a bolt of lightning. Only 4 people had survived the raid on the brothel. But we had prepared a safe room underground in case of emergencies, and the stairs down were hidden beneath the floorboards. Yet Maria had said they were found quickly, and most of the girls taken captive.
No!
You didn't. The attack had been well organized and large scale. Could the aroma of the herbs, which was strong enough to be smelled outside, have been some kind of signal? How could you? How could you betray us? What came out of my mouth was not words, though, but a pained, visceral wail. But overpowering everything else I felt was paralyzing shock. I was not prepared for this! The blade sticking out of Jiren's chest pierced my breast. Our blood flowed down the opposite ends of the silver edge, melding onto a single stream. I'd completely lost any sense of what was happening, left only with crushing bewilderment. Jiren fucking why? Barnier let a deep, bellowing laugh from behind Jiren. The sound resonated through the blade in his hand. I could literally feel him mocking me from inside my body. What? Why? How could you do that, Jiren? No. How could you, Barnier? Jiren had double-crossed us. As much as I didn't want to believe it, I no longer had much of a choice. She had claimed she thought of us like family, when in reality she was colluding with the Lord. She was the one who had brought ruin upon the brothel. You bitch! I couldn't reconcile what I saw with what I thought I knew. I couldn't forgive that kind of betrayal, and I couldn't even begin to comprehend Barnier's actions. How can you hide behind her when she stood up for you? How can you so readily cast her aside? She saved your life. How could you do this to her? What are you laughing at?
Look at the girl. Look at her face.
What? Why was Jiren? How could she possibly smile about any of this? What was going through her mind? Had she gone mad? I'd never seen her like... Wait. Yes, I had.
I knew that smile. All too well. When the realization struck, an almost painful chill crawled up my spine. Jiren was always smiling. She could break the ice with anyone in no time. She brought laughter wherever she went. She was endlessly cheerful and sincere to a fault. Flashes of our time together rushed through my mind. She was...
Presumably, you're thinking the girl's gone mad, but that isn't quite right. No. She's been mad all along.
What?
Could anyone in their right mind keep smiling after seeing their parents murdered and being sold off? Could anyone in their right mind genuinely believe they don't have a sorrow in the world? Could anyone in their right mind be smiling with a sword sticking out of their chest?
I don't... I can't...
The girl's immalleable mirth is but a different shade of madness. If she weren't mad, she wouldn't be smiling. Jiren lacks the capacity to comprehend negative emotions.
Oh, Jesus.
That can't be... She's compassionate, empathetic. There's no way she doesn't understand those emotions.
It's called good old-fashioned hard work. She pretends to show compassion, despite the fact that others' pain is incomprehensible to her.
No. I refuse.
You can't tell me there haven't been moments where you've seen the seams in her act.
Oh my God. In one of our conversations, I had asked Jiren, have you never felt like you got the short end of the stick? To which she had responded, I don't even know what the stick looks like. Never mind which end is the short one. While I had assumed she'd either moved on or her threshold for happiness was on the low side, the scale she waited on was outright broken.
To tell you the truth, I'm rather fond of the girl. After all, I'm a madman myself.
I wanted to shut out his words, to act like it was all crazy blather, like I didn't see any truth in it. But all the proof I needed was staring right at me. Jiren was smiling, as bright and as genuine as ever. The same smile she always showed us. As blood streamed down the blade in my chest. And still I couldn't believe it. Still, I couldn't accept that she had chosen this man over us. You said you thought of us like family, Jiren. What happened to that? What happened to all of our time together? You would throw it all away for him?
Jackie? Remember what I said?
Excuse me?
That I had my eye on someone?
And?
I love you, Jackie, and everyone else at the brothel. But there's someone I love even more. You know, I'm not the cleverest girl. I can only see what's right in front of me.
How impossibly idiotic could I be? She never had an eye for me. Well, her heart had always belonged to Barnier. I was being presumptuous when I assumed she was talking about me at the festival. Why him, though? Why this man of all people? I about fell to my knees, but I managed to hold my balance long enough to stagger back. When the tip of Barnier's blade slipped from my chest, the blood it had been holding in seemed to rush out all at once. And with it went everything I was feeling.
Some revolution this turned out to be, rat. As a parting gift, I'll let you in on a little something. The girl was my pawn from the very beginning. An informant sent to keep me apprised of anything that might spark opposition. If someone's amassing wealth illegitimately, I have them killed, or forced to surrender all their assets to me. If someone says something disagreeable about me, I have them hanged. That scheming wench. Never was it. Is probably at the bottom of a river by now. But it would seem I failed to keep everything under control, seeing as you're still breathing and dragging a pack of mindless peasants around with you. That's only a minor inconvenience, though. All I have to do is take off your head, and then without their leader they'll regress back to the ignorant swine they are.
You are a...
Now it's time we put this ludicrous revolution to rest.
Banya shifted backwards slightly, making to pull the sword from Jiren's chest. She moaned, the sound a mixture of agony and ecstasy. I thought I could hear the flesh ripping as the blade passed through it. I should have been readying myself to fight again, to brandish my sword and take this bastard's head, but I couldn't move an inch. Everything seemed to grow distant. My spirit was on the verge of collapse. The fire that had blazed within me had been snuffed out in an instant. Countless memories crumbled before my eyes. The word death flashed through my mind, but it brought with it no fear, only vast hopelessness.
Don't you...
But as the last of my will threatened to slip from my grasp, I heard a voice.
remember what I said?
What?
That I want to be together with you forever?
What do you think you're doing? Let go of the sword, Jiren!
Lucidity came rushing back to me, and a split second later I understood what she meant, what she wanted. I didn't give myself a chance to consider where that road might lead, if I wanted to walk down it, if I would come to regret the decision, or if it was the right thing to do. There was no time to think, only act. I couldn't let this opportunity go. So I shut everything out. My mind, my looming conscience, my sense of right and wrong, my heart. I shoved aside every possible distraction, rekindled the near extinguished fire of my rage, let out a visceral howl. Oh my freaking god! And swung. I could feel the impact in my arms as the blade tore through the flesh and bone. Jiren's lifeless body dropped to the floor with a thud. And the tip of my blade ripped a gash in Barnier's throat. A geyser of blood erupted from his neck. He bent over, writhing in agony, and staggered back a few steps before his legs gave out and he dropped to his knees. His eyes were opened wider than I thought possible, and he brought both hands up to his throat to stem the flow of blood. But it did little to help, the crimson stream seeping through the gaps in his fingers. With each beat of his heart, the flow surged, sending up sprays of lifeblood.
Impossible!
I was right. Noble blood and peasant blood all looked the same. Grunting and groaning, Barnier pawed the floor, evidently still convinced he could scamper off and escape somehow. He left behind a trail of blood as he crawled. It was by all rights over. However, there was still one last thing to take care of. I marched over to the Lord and placed my foot on his back, slamming him down into the ground. I'm not leaving without your head. And I owe it to Jiren to reunite you.
Wait! If you kill me, the neighboring counts are sure to intervene before you even realize what's happening. Put down that sword, and I'll spare you.
You'll spare me? You're in no position to be sparing anyone. You're either a fool or a hopeless optimist. You're not a lord anymore. You have no power. You're just a sick worm. And the counts? They won't be an issue. I'll be taking over for you after all.
Is that so? And how are you planning to do that? You're a peasant.
Ginevra entrusted me with a ring that bears the Barnier family crest. I'll use that to make myself out to be the successor to the royal family.
What will you do once you've faked your nobility? You have no experience, not the faintest idea how to be a lord.
I'm sure I'll govern better than you ever did.
You're out of your mind. A peasant like you couldn't govern an empty plot of land.
Not that being a noble makes one any more qualified, as you've more than clearly demonstrated. I'll take your seat, then I'll take the world.
Ludicrous! Think very hard about this, boy. Killing me will be a mistake you can never fix. Put down the sword!
Does death frighten you so much you would deign to beg for your life, Lord? Like I said before we began, though, the only way this ends is with one of us dead. I pressed my sword against Barnier's nape, then leaned into it hard. The blade sank into his flesh, the gash spreading like a crack in glass. Screams of agony echoed through the hall. All the blood in his body seemed to be trying to escape through the gaping hole, creating an ever-growing pool of red around us.
You too will be into madness.
Excuse me?
By the time you've figured out what it means to be a lord, you won't be the kind-hearted friend of the people anymore. Living this life, having no one you can trust, it'll eat away at you, and then you'll... Enough. You'll be your own executioner! Enough! I'll be waiting for you. Down in hell!
Holy shit! Here! Every god and every rebel. I have here the Lord's head, taken up by my own hands. You have no reason to fight any longer. Put down your arms, all of you, and cease this meaningless battle. Our revolution has come to pass.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to down an entire cup of tea real quick. Okay. Oh. Did I get a little too into character there for a second? Holy shit. I think I got a little too into it there. Whew. Shit. I actually feel like my own neck was sliced open. Jesus. Whew. Okay.
In less than a day's time, the Lord's manor had fallen. And by the time it was all over, it felt almost underwhelming how completely and utterly we had conquered them. Men cheered and shouted in celebration. Others borrowed suits of armor and pretended to be knights. A fire of a different color filled the manor's walls. They believed that with the Lord's death, everything would suddenly be better for everyone. That nobody would have to suffer anymore. That they would all be happy and live perfectly fulfilling lives. What? You think it's... No, it's freaking Fata Morgana! You expect it to be happy and filled with happy stuff? They had no logical reason to believe as such, yet no one seemed to doubt it in the slightest. Everyone seemed to have forgotten that enacting change required work, and there was still much of that to be done. The entire rest of the day, the men partied and celebrated, paying no heed to the corpses strewn about the property. Even the injured joining in. Nothing could stand in the way of their merrymaking. They raised goblets to my great accomplishments, and I smiled along, though their fiery passion could not penetrate the cold bubble that had formed around me. The only real fervor I had felt all day was while I crossed swords with Barnier. Now my head was surprisingly clear. Okay, perhaps clear wasn't quite right. It was stagnant. I felt as though I was suspended in a dark sludge. Barnier's dying words hovered around me. By the time I figured out what it meant to be a lord, I wouldn't be the kind-hearted friend of the people anymore, he had said. That I would have no one to trust. That it would eat away at me. Drive me mad. Oh my goodness, Barnier. Oh, well, I'm still glad you're dead. And then I would be my own executioner. Again and again I tried to tell myself that I wasn't like him, that I wouldn't end up like him. But his voice, his curse, refused to leave me. Images of his decapitated head flashed through my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that one day that would eventually be my head. Oh shit, he's even got blood on him! Damn, I wasn't expecting that. Whoa, Jesus! God, talk about... What is with the visual glitches? Oh well, the story's more important to me.
Well, there you are, kid. Been wondering where you ran off to.
Oh, Gratian.
How goes it? That sure ain't the face of a man who just pulled off a goddamn revolution. You won't hurt him? I've got something that can make the pain go away if you want some. Ah, there we go. Here she is. Take one of these leaves and grind it up at the back of your mouth. You should start tingling right at the back of your head in no time. And all the pain's gone, like it was never there. You got drugs? It's some pretty great shit.
Actually, for some reason, that kind of reminds me of these edible leaves. I can't remember what the name of the plant was, but... Oh shit, what was that? It was like this weird leaf that would melt in the back of your tongue, but it kind of had like this mint flavor to them. I remember this from like ages ago, but I can't remember what it was. I remember this was like back when I was like maybe like 7 or 9 maybe?
If you don't mind getting a little loopy for a bit anyway. Well, I know I didn't get loopy. I'm pretty sure. I should probably go talk to my grandma and ask about my childhood because I'm very confused now. But after all that, it ain't like you're gonna need to think straight for a while. So, what do you say? Take a few.
I think I'll pass. It does hurt, but I can handle it.
Then why the long face? You're a hero now. People are gonna be looking up to you. And that ain't a great look. What's with the big rock? I don't remember seeing this here before.
Please don't touch it. It's Jiren's gravestone.
Ah, so that's what got you down the dumps, huh? I mean, I get it. I sure as hell didn't see that one coming either. You and me both, bro. Talk about a shocker. Sweet little thing like her in bed with the Lord. Women can be fucking scary creatures at times. I don't even want to think about what kind of shit she was scheming while she got all chummy with us.
There was no mask, no facade, no scheming. She was always just being herself.
You out of your mind, kid? She played us for months, not the tiniest hint. If that ain't a facade, I don't know what that is.
She never believed herself to be lying to us. Assuming Jiren genuinely didn't grasp the concept of sadness or fear, that she was incapable of experiencing negative emotions, then it does kind of add up. She loved the Lord while also enjoying her time with us. To her, they weren't much mutually exclusive. To her, feeling both was not wrong.
Well, it looks like you're a lot better at arithmetic than me. because that don't come close to adding up in my head. Or maybe you just don't want to accept that it was all a big fat lie.
Perhaps. I'm not Jiren, and I don't know what she had with the Lord, so all I can do is speculate. And perhaps I do merely want to believe that she was part of the family. Gratian, could I ask you to keep this from Maria and the other girls?
You sure?
Regardless of what Jiren's actual feelings were, I don't see any reason to sully their memory of her.
Fair enough, I guess. Not like the dead can make their own case, so the least we can do for the ones left behind is not taint their memory. Unless someone knows how to bring them back, that is.
Indeed.
You sure everything's good, kid?
What are you so concerned about?
I mean, this is yours now. When we leave, you'll be staying here. And I just want to make sure you're really up for it. If you want, I could take your place.
Pardon?
If you think being in charge will be too much to handle, I'll gladly take it off your shoulders. Hell, we both know I'm more of a fighter than you. I could have taken Banya out with him getting that so much as a scratch on me. What do you say? I'll do it.
Don't be stupid. The whole city would be savages by year's end if you were in charge.
Hey, just offering your way out, kid.
It's my burden to bear, and I have no intention of passing it off. I'll have myself back in order by tomorrow.
Well, if you say so. But don't forget, you're in this for the long haul.
Don't worry, I can handle it.
So, do you have any specific plans moving forward? The woman you were conspiring with, Ginevra, was it? They offed her, didn't they?
She was hardly the only noble hoping to see Banya overthrown. I'll have to start by building up a solid foundation of supporters among the nobility.
Do we really need the dick squad on our side, though? Why don't we just cut ourselves off from all that crap and start our own country? A place just for us. No royalty or nobility to rob us blind. Just our city.
That would be ideal, but unfortunately, it isn't quite so simple. We can't just overthrow the Lord, take over the city, and build a big wall around the borders. Without a clear, legitimate transfer of power, the neighboring counts will undoubtedly intervene.
So we fight back. What's the problem?
Our little band of peasants was only able to take down the Lord because we had the element of surprise. But what happens when a trained, organized army marches on our borders? You don't need me to answer that for you.
This world's kind of a massive bitch, huh?
Yes. Gratian, truer words have never been spoken.
Unless the whole knee-deep in dick thing, but it's a hell of a lot better than having old Banya in power, I guess. You'll change things for the better, though, won't you?
You have my word.
Great. So, Jacopo, I know we'll be parting ways here soon and all, but I want you to know, I'll never forget this day. We crashed the gates of hell together and made the devil our bitch. It don't matter how far apart we are, nothing will change what we've been through. So, let's make this city into the best goddamn city around. You from the top, me from the bottom.
Yes, let's. It's a great comfort to know that I have you down there. I have a good deal of trust in you.
I won't disappoint you, kid. And don't you ever hesitate to give me a shout if you need something. When we first met, I kinda wanted to throw you off a cliff. And you still rub me the wrong way sometimes. But I also consider you one hell of a partner. And I mean that. We risked our lives for each other. Brothers in arms.
Thank you. I, too, consider you a good comrade. You and the rest of the gang.
I was beginning to think you'd never come out and say it. Now remember, kid, don't you let us down with this, or you'll be hearing from us, capiche? I know you can do it.
I won't let you down. It'll go fine. I have allies. Friends I can count on. With their help, I can change things for the better. I can believe in myself. I can do this. I have no reason to think otherwise. This fluttering in my stomach is nothing to be concerned about. Oh boy. When that fated night came to an end, the vast, bright blue sky of morning greeted me. I looked up at the sky, standing in a manner that still reeked of blood, and Morgana filled my thoughts. If she were here now, what would she say to me? Congratulations? It was so unlikely I let out a little laugh. She would undoubtedly criticize me for seizing power through such violent means. Her lips would twist into a scowl, and she would damn me to hell for the 1000th time. She would tell me what I had done was extremely foolish, but perhaps she would also express some concern about my injuries. That was all in my own imagination, though. She would never be at my side again. We would never look up at the same sky again. I would never hear her sing again. My old life was gone, a relic of the past. It would never be the same again. Not without the girl I loved being part of it. Kind of makes me wonder, like, if Morgana was at his side during this whole time. Oh, Part 1, Tales of a Distant Past, the end. Achievement unlocked, Before the Fall. A Requiem for Innocence. Interlude. Oh. Huh? Recollections of an Outlaw. You're in the mood for something juicy, you say? Hate to break it to you, chum, but I ain't made a dough. I'd like it. Oh, is this, Jiren? No, not Jiren. I'm sorry, that was fucking stupid. Gratian? Fuck it, I'll go in that way. Hate to break it to you, chum, but I ain't made a dough. I'd like a nice slab of meat as much as the next bloke, but I'm barely making do as is. Well, in case you hadn't noticed. What? You're not hungry? You just want a juicy story to go with your drink? Why didn't you just say that to begin with? Give me a sec. I think I got one you'll like. A few months back, me and a bunch of other blokes went on a raid. This puny little village. They didn't do much trade, just living off what they could grow, so I figured we'd make it out with much. Grab a little grub, blast some of the girls. That was the best anyone was hoping for. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Business as usual. We killed the guys, had some fun with the girls, but killed them too. Oh, gee, okay, that can't be Gratian. No. Nothing too interesting, nothing real exciting up to that point. But that changed when I busted into this one house. There's a man, a woman, and a little girl, maybe 5 years old. No siblings, just a girl. We're a small family for a village like that. Daw comes and made to protect the girl. The ma tries to block him away. No surprise here, I killed them both. Couple of unarmed farmers, easy as snapping a baby's neck. That left the kid. Wasn't like she could do nothing, so I didn't have to kill her. But you know how those stupid things get, crying like it's the end of the bloody world. So I figure, I'll run her through before she starts howling on me, right? But get this, the kid smiled at me and said, "Where are you from, mister?" Couldn't believe me ears. Girl, your parents? Oh! Oh my god, I just realized not a sorrow and... This is finding Jiren. Oh my goodness. Okay. Girl, your parents were just killed. By me, and I'm coming to kill you next. How the hell are you smiling? And how the hell are those the first words out of your tiny little mouth? Creeped me out, truth be told. So much so I lost interest in killing her. So I dug around for anything worth taking and then went on my way. But this damn kid... I tried to leave and guess what? She fucking follows me! Doesn't want revenge or nothing, just smiling like a fool. I'm a patient bloke, but this was beyond the pale. I yelled at the stupid thing. Why the hell are you following me? Piss off! And she gives me this confused look and says,
I'm bored. Everyone else stopped moving, so I had nothing else to do.
But you're still moving? Oh wait, yeah, this is Jiren.
I'm bored. Everyone else stopped moving, so I have nothing else to do. But you're still moving, mister.
My damn head was spinning.
She was maybe 5, yeah. I can understand her being a little stupid, but she should have known right from wrong enough to know to be scared of me. You'd have to be out of your mind to come trotting after the bastard just off your parents. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly what her problem was. She wasn't right in the head. I tried to get her to piss off, but she wasn't hearing it. The other guy started talking. Maybe we should just neck her, right? Then one guy says with a big smile, "Let's say we take bets on what it'd take to make the kitty cry." So we did just that. We started placing bets. Give her a good old yell and she'll cry. Knock her around some. That'll do it. I say yank a tooth or two. Rip off her nails one by one. And finally, plow her till she breaks. We went around and did everything we could think of. Our absolute worst. Oh, fuck! Not like we ever pretend to be good people, but it ain't every day you see a bunch of grown men taking turns knocking the hell out of a 5-year-old girl. Oh, Jesus! And hell, that by itself's a good drinking story if I ever heard one. You're fucked! But it keeps going. She never cried, no matter what we did. Not once. She would groan and twist her face when we hit her, so she did feel pain. But even though that was only for a second, after that she'd be back to smiling like an idiot. Tell you the truth, she seriously creeped me the fuck out. I wanted to just end it there and forget all about her. But the rest of the guys, they took a liking to her. Wanted to bring her back with us. I tried to talk him out of it, but one guy, he says, "What's the big deal? Ain't like we're adopting her. We'll have some fun. When we get bored, she's gone." And it's pretty damn hard to argue against that. If I kept fighting it, I'd look like I was trying to be the good guy or something. And so now, we got this kid in the crew. First month or so she's with us, everyone's treating her like their plaything. But after a little bit, that starts changing. They start being kinda nice to her. Giving her extra food, letting her join in on the conversations, that sort of thing. I mean, she's still creepy out, sure. The way she never stopped smiling. But she wasn't ugly or nothing. Could be kinda cute even. Once she started talking with us more, I realized something. None of us knew this damn kid's name. So I ask her, and get this. She says, "I'm me." Dead fucking serious. Now, like I've been saying, the girl's always never made much sense. But this is on another level. So, I press her. "No, what's your name?" But she just tilts her head and says the same thing. "I'm me." "So, you're saying your name is me?" I ask. She gives me this big fat grin and nods her head. Who the hell names their kid me? Okay, I can't do that much longer. Her parents seemed like reasonable enough folks. They at least cared enough to try and protect her from me. They just ran out of ideas trying to come up with a name for her. What? As I'm thinking to myself, I see there's something sewn into the bottom of her shirt. Looked like writing, but I can't read for shite. So I call over the only educated guy in the crew and have him look at it. Turns out it was a name. Jiren. "Your name ain't me. It's Jiren," I say. And she lights up like a fucking village we just got through with.
Really? My name's Jiren? I never knew.
I let out the biggest sigh of my life and say to her, "You're the dumbest broad I ever known." About a month after we picked the girl up, we had a bit of trouble. There was this chubby bloke by the name of Markos, and he starts getting this thing for her, yeah? I ain't one to get on a guy about what gets his rocks soft, but a 5-year-old girl? That just ain't right. I mean, at least these criminals have standards. Markos was kinda slow in the head, always at the back of the pack and mostly useless when we went out on jobs. Only reason we kept him around is because he made a good pack mule. He was annoying as all hell besides. Always saluting and say, "Aye aye," like he thought we were a bunch of pirates or something. Oh. And he called everyone boss, because apparently that was the only form of respect he knew. Oh. Day after day, "Aye aye, bossin', I'm on it, bossin', let me massage your back, boss," was enough to drive a man mad. And because he was the first one to talk to her, Jiren started imitating him. So now we got 2 buffoons running around talking like that. Obnoxious as it was, though, end of the day, that's all it was. But that changed when Markos started getting real fond of the girl. Every little thing we did, he'd go around telling us to be nicer to her, yeah? But as far as we saw it, compared to when we first took her in, we were treating her pretty damn well. Of course, that's all relative. A proper slave probably still got less help from their master than we gave the girl. But remember, we only brought her along so we could have fun. We never intended to make her part of the crew. But Markos wasn't having any of it. Son of a bitch actually snapped at us. You'll pay if you don't stop right now, boss. Idiot wanted to fight, so we gave him a fight. The whole lot of us beat the ever-loving hell out of him. Stomped his face in so bad you couldn't even recognize the poor bastard anymore. But that wasn't enough for him. His face a big bloody mess, Markos said, I won't let you lay another finger on Jiren, boss. Tell you the truth, I didn't think he had the sack. Then Jiren comes trotting in, seemed sure of the ruckus and wanted to see what was up. Markos' eyes went wide and yelled, Stay back! But the girl, she just stood there, same old stupid smile on her face. Seeing her come in, one of the other guys smirks, plops his ass down on Markos' back and holds a knife up against his neck and says, Hey Jiren, you like Markos? And with a big grin she answers,
Hi, boss.
Through the swollen, bruised up mess of his face as was, you could just barely make out Markos smiling. Next the guy on his back says, Then would it make you sad if we roughed him up a bit more?
What do you mean, rough him up?
Cut off his fingers, scoop out his eyes, you know, have a little fun.
Fun is fun. Why would that make me sad?
You hear that? I ain't making this up. The girl's still standing there smiling and Markos, he goes pale as a ghost. And he did it. He cut off his fingers. Jiren's still smiling. He gouged out his eyes. Still smiling. And finally he slit Markos' throat. Even as the blood spraying right into her face, she never once stopped smiling. Just before he kicked off, Markos looked like he was thrown into the deepest, darkest pit of despair. I've seen the hope drain from God knows how many men's eyes, but that was on a whole nother level. As you can imagine, I wasn't the only one Jiren creeped out anymore. Everyone felt the same way. She was so messed up, we all thought we might start turning into her if we kept her around any longer. So next city we landed and we saw Jiren off. And we all lived happily ever after, minus one twisted girl. What do you think? Juicy enough for you? You feel sick?
Kind of.
Sorry about that, chum. I thought you had a stronger stomach. No, I mean, I kind of almost had a vomit. I almost vomited during the whole cannibalism scene, but I think that's probably because I had lasagna for oh, wait, you're... I'm talking to a video. I'm talking to a story. What the hell? I do wonder what Jiren's up to these days. She's still smiling like an idiot, or... Oh, boy.
Recollections of a Vassal's Wife. Good to see you too, sir. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Yes, that's correct. This is where our slaves were when they were stolen, as I described when I reported it. What? The number of stolen slaves I gave you doesn't match the number you heard from other sources? No. I had no intention of deceiving you. I simply assumed it wouldn't be a problem because I wasn't claiming we lost more than we did. Yes, I understand. I beg your pardon. I should have reported the number correctly. I will do so in the future, so please, if you would look the other way just this once. Why did I report fewer slaves were stolen? I imagine you would find that curious, yes. Why would anyone want less of their lost manpower returned to them, indeed? It's quite simple. I do not think it would be any great loss if she were not to come back. Oh, no. She was a fine worker. She didn't cause any trouble, either. You want to know about the girl? I doubt it'll be any help of your investigation, but I don't mind telling you. I warn you, it's not a terribly pleasant story, though. Very well, as you wish, sir. We purchased her when she was about 5 years old, so she's been with us for quite some time. This is literally just Jiren's tale. Okay. 8, maybe 9 years now. When we bought her, she was still too young to put to work. She was in good health, though, and always had the sweetest smile on her face, so I had little doubt she would do as she was told. Slaves tend to be so gloomy and depressing, you know. Not that I don't understand, but unlike many, we try not to mistreat our slaves. As long as they do their work, they have nothing to worry about. The best slaves, I think, are the ones who aren't so dreary as to be infectious and make us feel guilty. The girl's name was Jiren, and while she talked rather funny, she was as bright and as cheerful as I'd hoped. And she was always smiling from ear to ear. For a while, it felt like we had a brand new member of our family. I was so taken with her I almost considered adopting her instead of keeping her as a slave. And how did I go from wanting her to take her in to not caring as if she didn't come back? It's rather difficult to explain, to tell you the truth. Yes, that's right. She never caused any trouble. She never stole anything, and she never refused to work. She never cried, and she never got upset. No matter what happened, she always did her work with a smile on her face. That sounds like the ideal slave. Yes, you would think so. And I have no complaints regarding her work. Neither did my husband, nor our servants. I imagine I'm the only one who would be happy to never see her again. I started thinking the girl peculiar about 2 years after we purchased her. Right around that time, one of our other slaves attempted to run away. Yes, that's right. As I said, we have never once mistreated our slaves. Other slave owners could learn a thing or two from us, I say. We tell all our slaves when we buy them that they will be set free as soon as they've worked enough to pay back what we paid for them. So we had only 10 years, and then he would have been free. Oh, so he had only 10 years, and then he would have been free. But he chose to spit in the face of our generosity, and... my apologies, I've gotten off track, haven't I? The slaves who ran was captured soon after, but trying to flee is one of the greatest transgressions a slave can commit against his master. As such, as I'm sure you understand, necessary to punish him. But I assure you, we never Yes, I'm sorry. I'll continue. Okay, I'm kind of sounding like a little bit of an asshole, but then again, I'm talking through the perspective of a slave owner, so... So, as I said, he had to be punished. My husband took a length of rope and used it as a whip, I think it's called. He had all the slaves watch as he lashed the one that had tried to run. It was for their own sake. The other slaves needed to see what would happen if they attempted to flee. The lashing continued for a full day. Holy shit! All the slaves present reacted differently. Some averted their eyes, some cried, some looked along trembling, but it was clear they were afraid, which meant the punishment had served its purpose. For everyone except Jiren, that is. Yes, that's correct. She simply smiled. At first I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, but every time I looked over at her, I saw the same thing. As the slave being lashed screamed out in pain, Jiren didn't even flinch. She just stood there, smiling. And just looking at her gave me the chills. My husband thought it was curious as well, but he wasn't nearly as put off as me. She was 7 at the time and a hard worker, and he said there was no issue as long as she didn't cause any trouble. But that completely misses the point, you know? She gave me the creeps. I wasn't comfortable with her around. But of course, my husband has the final say. I couldn't defy him. So I did my best to forget that day. I couldn't get the girl out of my mind, though, no matter how hard I tried. My gaze was drawn to Jiren, and I noticed quite a bit as I'd observed her more carefully. Say one of the slaves hurts himself while working, you might expect another slave to ask if he's all right, to help patch up the wound, to volunteer to take on his responsibilities for the day, to show concern and compassion. But Jiren, she would just smile and go on her way, not a word. She was hardly perfect either. Is anyone, though? And she would make mistakes occasionally. Everyone slips up. We try not to make a huge fuss about it because we sincerely value our slaves and the work they... My apologies. In any case, we can't simply brush such mistakes off, so we make sure to admonish them whenever something happens to ensure things run smoothly. But even as I scold her, Jiren's still smiling. As I'm sure you can imagine, it's hard not to feel as though you're being disrespected. So once I lost my temper and smacked her. It was only the once. Though I swear, I'm not a violent woman. I hate raising my hand to anyone. I was sure that if nothing else would make her cry. But still she smiled with half her face red and swollen. I was so perplexed I came straight out and asked her, "Why do you not cry? I just hit you. How can you keep smiling?" And she said, "Why would I cry? I'm not sad about anything." Pressing the issue further, I discovered she had evidently never felt bad for anyone in her life, including herself. Can you imagine? How terrible is that? It's not right. So I decided I needed to teach her how she was supposed to act. I taught her that when she saw someone get hurt, she needed to show sympathy. That when she was being reprimanded, she needed to show remorse and a desire to improve. Jiren listened carefully to every word I said, and before long she started putting my teaching into practice. At first I was relieved. Jiren was finally a regular girl. She showed concern, compassion, regret. But it was all an act. She acted sad when someone got hurt, and then she turned around and was smiling again. It never lasted more than a few moments. Emotions were but a flash. There. Then gone before you even realized. It wasn't normal. Wasn't human. She didn't genuinely feel sympathy. Beyond the surface, she was no different than the girl who smiled as a fellow slave was being whipped before her eyes. Jiren had learned nothing. Unable to bear it anymore, I went to my husband again. I told him she wasn't normal. There was something wrong with her. I implored him to do something, but my pleas fell on deaf ears. She was a good worker, he said. We couldn't ask for a better slave, he said. Oh, but he couldn't have been any more wrong. He wasn't the one who had to look after her. He had no idea what she was like. How unsettling it was merely being in her presence. How deeply upsetting it was. My apologies. I'm fine now. As you can imagine, I'm not particularly fond of Jiren, so it was a weight off my shoulders when I heard she was one of the stolen slaves. Why are you giving me that look? You think I'm the one who has the problem? You think there's nothing wrong with her, just like my husband? One look at her smile and you'd know I'm telling the truth, that she's not simply a little eccentric, that there's no more to it than that. I just can't take it anymore. Is there no one who will understand me?
Oh, you cold-hearted bitch. Recollections of a prostitute. Oh, boy.
Okay. Kick back for a bit, why don't you? I'm in the mood to talk. Nah, I'm not gonna charge extra. I don't bill by the hour. Oh, you never thought of me as a talkative girl? I guess that just goes to show how much I've taken to you. No, I'm not trying to butter you up, I swear. I've been thinking a lot these days about the place I last worked at. And it's really been getting me down. I can't think of anyone I want with me at times like this more than you. Did something happen there? I've been waiting for that question. It's a bit of a long story, I hope you don't mind.
Oh boy.
There's a city about 10 days by carriage from here. You know the one, right at Lord Barnier's doorstep. The place I used to work was there, and every so often the Lord would summon a few of the prettiest girls to come to his manor. I'm hardly the best looking girl around, even out here, so I was never one of the chosen. But honestly, I'm lucky for it.
I don't think this is Maria. I don't have another prostitute voice. God damn it. Oh, fuck it. You know what? Fuck it. I guess I'll just keep with the... No, Maria's voice is Maria's voice. I can't.
It's not the same kind of thing you want to go mentioning in public, but the Lord has some, unsavory hobbies.
Every girl who ever came back said, there's no amount of money you can pay me to do that again. Word is the Lord has a taste for torturing and killing his slaves. Not just if you screw up either. If he's in the mood and he so much as sees you, you could be dead. He's got a dungeon under his manor too, they say, and you can hear wailing coming from down there at all times of the day.
I just realized this is the interlude, so... Oh boy.
The Lord enjoys all kinds of torture. Flaying, dismemberment, boiling, the water cure. I'm sure he uses others, but I've only heard bits and pieces secondhand. He only ever killed the slaves, though. The girls all came back in one piece. On the outside, at least. Being forced to watch people get brutally murdered did a real number on most of them. Some were so broken by the experience they couldn't work anymore. So the Lord, apparently, he hosts banquets as his manor every so often. But here's the kicker. He only invites nobles that are into the same sort of thing. He's not the only one. We're being governed by God knows how many twisted freaks. I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, something like 2 years ago, I think it was. A couple girls came back looking a good 20 years older, and they told us about one of these banquets. Most of the time, it's just him and his noble friends torturing slaves, but this one was different. There was a girl, maybe 10 years old, chained up naked on his makeshift altar. But here's where it gets crazy. The girl, who they called a saint, was covered in scars head to toe. They cut her up and filled those cups with her flesh blood. But she didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She just sat there quietly. And when she did speak, it was to condemn them as blasphemers and sinners. Can you imagine? Chained up like that, and she's scolding her captors, telling them God will punish them for their actions? I wouldn't have the guts. Maybe she was raised at a church or something. But I'm guessing that's got something to do with why they called her a saint. Oh yeah, a slave revolt was right around that time, too. You hear about that? Just rumors? Well, they're not just rumors. It really happened. Because of the revolt, the girls who'd been there made it out mostly decent shape. And for a while afterwards, the Lord didn't send for anyone. I'm guessing he was too preoccupied patching up the holes in his manor and finances to spend much time fooling around. Sort of changing topics for a second, but about that same time, this dark-skinned girl, the kind I don't see too often around these parts, started working here. Her name was Jiren. She was pretty, always had the wildest smile on her face and freely friendly. Seemed like the kind of girl who'd draw in a lot of business. And I was right. Within a couple of weeks, she'd already picked up a few regulars. Not much was going on about how happy he was with his purchase. About a month in, though, we started getting complaints from one of her customers. Said she was being condescending with him. I brought up with Jiren, but she said she had no idea what he was talking about. So I assumed the customer was just imagining it, or full of it. You guys get like that all the time in this business. Oh, you get guys like that all the time in this business. No, don't worry. You're not one of them. But the complaints kept coming in, which made me think maybe there was something going on. So I decided to talk things out with the guys making the complaints this time, get a better picture of what the problem was. Most of them were pretty useless and vague, but the common issue seemed to be that her behavior didn't make sense. One guy came in after bungling a huge trade deal, hoping to find some comfort, and he spilled his guts to Jiren. But instead of trying to console him, she laughed. You can see why he wouldn't be thrilled about that. When I asked Jiren about it, she gave me a confused look and said, "I thought he was telling a funny joke." There was no malice, nothing. She genuinely didn't understand how the customers wanted her to act. Can't run a business like this without a solid customer base, so making sure everyone leaves happy is crucial to operation. Which is probably not something I should be talking about with the customer, but, well, you're special, so cut me some slack, okay? Anyway, something had to be done about Jiren. We couldn't risk more dissatisfied customers, so I figured the best thing to do was give her some training. Here's how you should react if a client brings up such and such, and here's what you should say if they're looking depressed or upset or whatever. How and when to be reactive and how and when to be proactive. Jiren was a quick study, so it wasn't long before she was putting my lessons to work. I would have been happier with just reducing the number of complaints to a more normal level, but Jiren improved so dramatically we heard nothing but praise from then on. I say a patron was looking a little blue, she'd give them a big pouty face and say, "What's the matter? You can tell me anything."
Oh no, that's terrible. I feel awful for you.
Is there anything I can do to help? Anything at all? Just this constant stream of comfort, almost to the point of being excessive. She had gone from bright and energetic to sweet and sympathetic as well. On the surface, anyway. Every condolence she offered was completely fake. She was acting, and I knew, because I was the one who had taught her how. There was nothing wrong with that, though. We're not in the business of genuine human interaction, after all. Thinking back on it, though, I probably should have taught her what the real thing felt like rather than just how to fake it. About a year later, the Lord started sending for girls again. We all knew he was a madman, that was common knowledge. But he paid well and everybody always came back alive. So we reluctantly complied. But we were wrong. He did kill the girls this time. One came back alive, but she was missing an eye and half an arm. She was in no condition to go back to work. Oh my God! Even just going about her daily life would be difficult. We were aghast. But things only got worse from there. The next time the Lord sent for us, we panicked. For one, no amount of money was worth what waited the Lord's manor. And two, it was impossible to run a business if your employers keep getting killed.
And your employees.
So we attempted to turn him away. But his messenger simply said,
"The Lord will not take no for an answer."
We either complied or were all executed for no treason. Jesus! What little hope we had left crumbled. We were screwed either way, so we fought among ourselves like a pack of wild animals. "I'm too ugly, you go." "I'm more regular as you go. No one likes you anyway." Pure chaos. I was, of course, part of the brawl. And here's where she comes in. Jiren. Everyone's in a big mob, clawing each other's faces off, and she just tilts her head and asks, "Why are you so afraid of the Lord?" Seeing that stupid, clueless look on her face, just about everyone in the room burst a vessel. "All right, we'll send her," we said, and we did as I said. Jiren smiled, not bothered in the slightest, gave us a cheery "See you later," went off to the Lord's manor. To no one's surprise, she never came back. We figured she'd been killed. A week or so later, the messenger showed up again, asking for more girls. By this point, the manager was furious. He demanded to speak with the Lord in person, saying if something wasn't done, the whole brothel would collapse, and he put his life on the line to prevent that. Seeing him so resolute, I felt a newfound respect for him. I also thought he was a complete idiot, but I still respected him. After all, there was no way the Lord would be open to negotiation. That much was obvious from everything he'd done. The manager and a few assistants set off for the Lord's manor, and about 2 weeks later he returned. Or his head did. Fuck!
Man, I'm glad the Lord's dead, but Jesus Christ.
His assistants managed to avoid death, so they were able to tell us what had happened. No one was exactly thrilled to hear more twisted tales by the Lord, but we listened anyway, and no one could have imagined what they told us. Jiren was there with the Lord, alive and well. Not only had she not been killed, he had apparently taken quite a liking to her. The manager was quite surprised to see her too, but he figured it was as good a chance as he would ever get. If Jiren would speak up in his favor, the Lord might actually listen to her. So emboldened, the manager pled with the Lord, begging him not to harm the girls, that we wouldn't be able to send anyone else otherwise. And for attempting to oppose him, the Lord ordered the manager to be executed. The manager, however, entreated Jiren for help.
If you have a heart, Jiren, please, tell the Lord not to take my life. I have people who need me.
Without hesitation, Jiren nodded, saying, "You think you could maybe let him live?" That seems a bit, I don't know, disrespectful for a whore to speak to the Lord like that, but he didn't get upset with her or anything. He really had taken a liking to her, apparently. The Lord nodded and said,
I'll offer you a choice then. Jiren, you may have whichever one of the following you prefer. Either I spare this man's life, or you can have my full attention for the rest of the day.
Oh my goodness.
The manager and assistants were all baffled. How was that even a decision? How was a man's life, a man who had employed her for more than a year no less, comparable to a little attention? But they were even more baffled by Jiren's reaction. She thought about it for a second, then blushing, she said, "I want your attention." Everyone's jaws dropped. The manager about burst into tears. He begged her to reconsider, to have pity. He asked what he had ever done to wrong her. "You never did me wrong," she said.
And why won't you have him spare me?
I just want his attention more.
And you're willing to let me die for that?
What's so scary about dying anyway? Not only did she not comprehend sorrow, she seemed to be devoid of anything resembling fear as well, which explained why she had so much trouble sympathizing with people's suffering, why she was always smiling no matter how bad things got. Without our manager, the brothel went to hell. His son took over, but he didn't give a damn about any of the girls. All he cared about was if he had enough booze to keep himself perpetually smashed. So figuring I had a better chance elsewhere, I left everything behind and ran, leaving my future in fate's hands. Fate was kind to me and I managed to make it here. They came to me in my dreams sometimes, though. I still see the faces of the poor girls we sent off to the gallows.
Fuck.
What? Where am I again?
Oh! Oh shit!
Awake again, are you, whore?
What are you, sir?
It would seem your memories have not fully recovered. Allow me to remind you how you got here, then.
No, wait. It's right on the tip of my brain. Let's see. I was at the brothel, and then I was invited to the Lord's palace, or place. I got brought to a big city. And then I was taken to the Lord's castle. The Lord called me into his room, and then you strangled me.
Indeed. Your memory has returned without problem.
I'm I'm super duper good at remembering things. Wait. Wait! Why did you strangle me?
To test my theory.
Your theory of what?
That you're mad.
Mad? About what?
Not that kind of mad. First of all, I never bring just one whore to my quarters. I brought you here because you piqued my personal curiosity.
You mean you're having orgies in here every day? Wowzers, you've got some serious stamina.
What? I feel like I've made a huge mistake. Not being alone with one person reduces the chances of an assassination attempt.
Ah, that makes sense. It's pretty tough being the Lord, huh? So, what are you so curious about the little old me for?
The other day, you and a handful of other whores attended the torturing of a slave, if you recall. I made you all watch as he died. But you didn't seem affected in the slightest.
Ah! Crap, I'm so sorry.
For what?
I wasn't sad enough, was I? The nice farm lady and the girl at the brothel taught me how to be sad and how to be angry. But if I'm not careful, I forget. I'm sorry for not being sad like I was supposed to.
As I said, you piqued my interest. Had you sobbed and screamed like any other whore, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Huh? So me not being sad wasn't bad?
That it wasn't.
Huh. No one's ever said that to me before.
I'd always thought you unusual, but I couldn't be certain about what you were without getting more personal. Which is why I brought you here to test that theory. You don't fear death, do you, whore?
It's not just death. I've never felt sad or scared about anything ever. I didn't even know sad or scared were things people felt at all until someone told me. But now I know all about them and how you're supposed to act when you feel them. I just don't know what they actually are.
Truly fascinating. Tell me more.
Huh? What do you want to know?
Let's see. Tell me your whole life story. Tell me everything, as far back as you remember.
Wow! No one's ever been this interested in me. Gee, this is super nice. Alrighty, then I'll tell you everything. Don't hesitate to conk out if you get bored.
Seriously, I feel like I've made a huge mistake. What the hell is wrong with this girl?
And ta-da! Here I am! What'd you think? As boring as I thought it'd be?
Hardly. That was easily the most engrossing childhood story I've ever heard.
Woohoo!
Smiling as your parents are killed before your eyes. I'm hardly one to talk. But you're one thoroughly heartless girl.
I still wish I could do that over. I really loved my mom and dad, and the nice farm lady taught me you're supposed to be sad when people you love die.
That's why you want a do-over.
What?
You're incapable of experiencing sorrow, no? Feigning it for the occasion won't change the fact you don't actually feel sad about losing them.
I guess you're right. I can pretend, but I still don't know what it feels like. I don't understand why people are so afraid of death to begin with. I mean, pain isn't fun, I get that much. But if you don't let it bother you, it's not that big a deal. Plus, once you die, you get to go to heaven. So I don't get what there is to be so afraid of.
Not everyone goes to heaven.
Oh, that's right. But still, I'm sure there are plenty of fun things to do in hell.
Fascinating. You truly are twisted to your very soul.
Oh, but I do sometimes feel disappointed.
Do tell.
Like, I sometimes wish I could eat my mom's supper again. And I feel left out when everyone's talking about how weird I am. Maybe sad is just like an even stronger version of that.
I get the impression your entire experience of negative emotion is fundamentally distorted. So I don't know if you can say that. Jiren,
Aye?
would you like to remain with me?
What?
Normally I send whores back to where they came from when I'm done with them. But I'm offering you the chance to stay here with me.
Are you asking for my hand in marriage?
What? Oh my god, what the? I am seriously making a huge mistake here.
Huh? What do I do? What do I do? I went from whore to the Lord's wife in 3 seconds flat.
Fool. I would never even take a mere prostitute as a concubine.
Drat.
I am, however, fond of you, so I'm offering you a place in my house.
So you're saying you actually want me around? Even knowing what kind of person I really am?
You could say that, yes.
Wow. No one's ever actually wanted me before.
I don't know how to feel about this. I really don't. I honestly have no idea how to process this. The one place she feels welcome is with freaking him? I mean, she also felt welcome at the brothel, but what the? Calm down, calm down, calm down.
As promised, Jiren, you have my full attention for the rest of the day.
Whee!
Honestly, it shouldn't surprise me anymore how twisted you are. Twisted so far, in fact, you're the most sincere and honest person in the land. To a fault. You hardly even gave that man's life a second thought. The look on his face as he died was magnificent. You are a cruel girl.
I didn't do anything wrong, no matter what you say. I didn't steal anything. I didn't kill anyone. I tried to stay out of everyone's way as much as possible.
So you actually have some concept of right and wrong, which means you understand that I am a wicked man.
I was taught the difference, yes.
Fascinating. However, simply knowing the difference is of no use, if you don't feel the repulsion it's supposed to elicit. Knowing full well that I was acting maliciously, still, you selfishly chose my affection, sentencing that man to death.
That's not what I... No, I guess you're right. I guess I did let him die for my own selfish desires. Looks like I've still got a lot to learn.
No, you stay exactly the way you are. As I've said before, you don't need to put up a facade around me. Don't act sad if you're not sad. Don't act angry if you're not angry. Don't feign pity for someone you don't care about. Be you.
But everyone says
Your natural self neither disgusts nor disturbs me. In fact, I greatly prefer you that way. No matter how many slaves I kill and torture for my own entertainment, you never leave my side. You happily accept me no matter what I do. I would rather not lose that. Don't stand so far away. Sit down beside me.
Aye.
I have allowed you to stay here for a month now, and in that time you've become a constant source of entertainment. And you've expressed no desire to leave either, despite being well aware what kind of man I am.
The same goes for you, Barnier. You want me to stay even though I'm such a weirdo.
The difference between you and I, though, is that I kill and you do not.
You know, I've been wondering.
What?
Why do you like killing so much?
It would seem your perception of me is slightly inaccurate. It is not the act of killing I enjoy, but the look of dread and despair on a man's face as his life is ripped away.
There's a difference?
In your mind, perhaps not.
I'd kind of like to know what it's like in your mind then. I told you my story. Maybe you could tell me more about you, Barnier? Not that I blame you if you don't want to tell a prostitute like me.
You're not a prostitute anymore.
I'm not? Then what am I?
You're my property.
Oh, that sounds super nice.
So, to answer your question, I was not always the man I am today. No. I need to end it here. Oh my god!
I have got to end it here. This is getting a little too... Oh! This is getting a little too heavy for me right now. Don't worry, you're going to be seeing more of this soon. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it done today, but I am going to try to get as much done as I can. Oh, fuck it. It'll be up tomorrow. I got other stuff to do I got to take care of, too. There's going to be a lot of recordings going on the next couple days. I mean, today and tomorrow. I got a lot of stuff that I want to get done. Okay. Oh, God. I was not prepared for this. I was not prepared that we'd actually get a glimpse of the Barnier story. Okay. Okay. And I wasn't even expecting this. I was not prepared for this. Oh my god. I'm sorry I'm gonna have to end it here, but you guys are... I'm gonna have to continue this tomorrow because Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Yeah, that's... Yeah, it's... Okay. Okay, let's think about this for a second. We're actually getting a glimpse of not only into Jiren's life, but also the Lord's. I was expecting him to just be kind of a thrown away, but I'm actually glad that we're actually getting more information on this guy. Give the people who made this story a fucking award. Okay. I'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow. Thank you.